Well, good morning, and welcome to the Daniel Sauls Show, where you will witness sports talk and debate from yours truly, Daniel Sauls. Well, I have nothing else left to say. Let's get started! And today we're going to be talking about this question, this topic. Who's the greatest NFL player in the history of the league? Well, this question has been talked about a lot. You know, this is a very big topic, but I'm going to give you the answer to this question. A lot of people might say Tom Brady or Jerry Rice. I have a problem with Tom Brady because I could say he's the greatest quarterback of all time. Without a doubt, he's the greatest quarterback of all time. But quarterbacks don't have to be athletic. To be an majority of NFL players, you got to be athletic. You have to be able to be fast. You have to be able to catch a football. You have to be able to lock down on defense. You have to be able to do all these things, right? You got to be strong. You just have to be an athletic guy. And quarterbacks don't necessarily have to be athletic. And that's why I have a problem with him being the best player of all time. And if I'm going to say somebody's going to be the best player of all time, in my eyes, I'm going to give you who it is. But I'm going to tell you my top 10. So two, I got I have Tom Brady. Tom Brady is number 2, obviously. 7 Super Bowls, 3 losses, and he's been to 10 Super Bowls. He is the greatest quarterback of all time. He's the greatest leader of all time, without question. Number 3, I have Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice is the greatest receiver of all time, without question. He never dropped the football when it mattered most. He was probably the best catcher of the football of all time as well. And he had a really great quarterback in Joe Montana and Steve Young throwing him the football. He played for a really good organization, very good system. So, you know, I truly believe that Jerry Rice is the 3rd greatest player of all time. And then we're going to go with number 4, and that's Lawrence Taylor, LT. If you don't know who LT is, he is the greatest giant of all time. Lawrence Taylor was just the greatest giant ever. He was dominant on defense, obviously, because that's what he played. He was dominant. He got to the quarterback a lot. Great player overall. He was big. He was strong. He was fast. He was just amazing in what he did. And I can't really say that there's anybody better in his position than Lawrence Taylor. And then you got to go with number 5, and that's Walter Payton for me. Walter Payton, obviously, he's got an award named after him, the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award. He is, to me, the greatest running back of all time. He was dominant. He was fast. He was just powerful. He was just a great man, and he was outstanding in what he did, and that's why I have to give Walter Payton one of the greatest players of all time. He's number 5 on my list. And then we're going to go to number 6, and that's going to be Jim Brown. To me, Jim Brown's number 2 for the greatest running backs of all time. Debatably, he's the best. I feel like he was more dominant and more physically gifted than Walter Payton. He broke tackles as good as anybody, and, you know, Jim Brown was just that guy. He played for the Browns, if you did not know. He's the greatest Brown of all time. And I feel like Jim Brown was that dude. And that's why he's 6 on my list for sure, Jim Brown. And then we're going to go to number 7. And I think that's obvious, Joe Montana. Joe Montana is the 2nd greatest quarterback of all time. If it wasn't for Tom Brady, he'd be number 1. 4 Super Bowls, 0 losses with no interceptions in a Super Bowl. He was clutch. He was amazing. He was literally like watching God on the football field. It was incredible. Joe Montana was just that guy. And you got to give him kudos because it's just Joe Cool, man. It's Joe Cool. He's in the top 10 greatest quarterbacks and greatest players of all time, without question. And then we're going to go to the 3rd greatest quarterback of all time, Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning, he beat you with his mind. He didn't have a great throw with the football. He didn't have a good spin on the ball, but he beat you with his mind. He was smarter than everyone else on the field. Peyton Manning should not be taken for granted of. He was outstanding. He was remarkable. He has 2 Super Bowl wins. Clutch. Just outstanding. He was all world, without question. And then we're going to go to number 9. That's Barry Sanders. If you don't know who Barry Sanders is one of the greatest running backs of all time. Barry Sanders was fast. He was slick. He was just agile. He was all the things that you could think of in a running back. He was outstanding. He was one of the most athletic running backs of all time. He was just straight up dominant. He could break tackles. He could juke people around. You know, he had moves. He was flashy. He was just all around dominant, man. I don't know if there's a lot of people like Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders was just him. And then this is going to be surprising, but I got Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis was one of the most dominating defensive players of all time. He was on that Baltimore Ravens team where their defense was probably the best defense of all time. That defense was unstoppable. Nobody, no offense can beat that Ravens defense without question, led by Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis was just him. He was special, and he should not be underlooked. He shouldn't be overlooked at all. I mean, he's just outstandingly great. He deserves to be in the top 10 greatest players of all time, and that's why I have him there. But they're not number one. They're not number one, baby. They're not number one, baby. None of them are number one. Number one is Deion Sanders. Primetime Deion Sanders is obviously number one of all time for me. If it isn't Tom Brady, it's Deion Sanders. Because Deion Sanders was the greatest defensive back of all time. Not only that, he played wide receiver. He also was a return specialist. He was that guy. He was just all-time great, all-time special. He was untouchable. He was fast. The man is a two-time Super Bowl champion. And he had 53 interceptions in his career. He also retired for 3 years and came back at the age of 37 and retired again at 39 for playing for the Baltimore Ravens. In his career, at the beginning, he played for the Atlanta Falcons. Then he went on to the 49ers and won a Super Bowl. And then went to the Cowboys and won another Super Bowl. And then went to the Redskins, then retired, like I said, and then went to the Baltimore Ravens. He was dominant. He was fast, untouchable. He could catch the ball. He could defend like no one else. He was locked down. All-time great. All-time special. I got to give it to Deion Sanders. Probably the most athletic player of all time. Give it to him. Deion Sanders is the greatest player in the history of the National Football League. I'm Daniel Sauls, the host of the Daniel Sauls Show, and I'll be back with another video for y'all guys very soon. Make sure you go like and subscribe, turn post notifications on as always, and I'll be back with another video of the new Daniel Sauls Show.